Hare Krishna, thank you all for joining. We'll get started right away. Nectar of Instruction class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all for joining the Nectar of Instruction, the 10-part series, Balancing Work, Family, and Bhakti. We'll do a quick recap of the first few verses that we covered so far. Verse number 1, the 6 urges to tolerate. Vacha vegam, jiva vegam, udarapastha vegam, krodha vegam, mano vegam. Right? So, vacha vegam means the speech. And how do we manage that? How do we tolerate it? We pause before we speak uplifting words, and we remove gossip from our lives. Jiva vegam, controlling the taste. We only eat prasadam. We perform our fasts, and we also regulate what we eat. Udara vegam, the quantity of food we want to manage with the portions, have good routines that are healthy, and the spiritual digestion we talked about. Incorporate chanting in every part of your life. Upastha vegam, where we treat our body with respect, we model dignity, we guard our family entertainment, and we engage youth early in understanding mature responsibility. Krodha vegam, the anger, learn to reset instead of react. Teach our children emotional regulation, and of course, only eat prasadam. That helps a lot. And mano vegam, the mind. Instead of going for distractions to relax the mind, spiritually unwind, listen to kirtans, anchor your day spiritually, and practice an inner sense of surrender with your mind all the time. That's how you tolerate the 6 urges. Verse number 2, atyahara prayashascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasanga shilavancha. These 6 items are the pitfalls we want to avoid. Overeating, over-collecting, over-endeavoring, purposeless or useless speech, niyamagraha, improper relationship with the rules, janasanga, worldly association, lolyam, material greed, restlessness. And we covered how we could manage these. And then verse number 3, the 6 items that will help us tremendously to succeed in Krishna consciousness: utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, tattat karma pravartanat, sanga tyaga sata vritti. Enthusiasm, confidence, patience, acting according to regular principles, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Then, the 6 kinds of loving exchanges, dadati pratikranati, exchanging gifts, exchanging one's heartfelt feelings, revealing your mind confidence, and bhukte bhojayate, offering and accepting prasadam. These are shadvidam priti lakshanam, 6 ways we can express affectionate feelings for each other and deepen our relationship with Krishna in the center. Verse number 5, we talked about the 3 categories of devotees: Kanishna, Madhyama, Uttama, how they're all Vaishnavas, and how we can relate to each one of those 3. Kanishta is a beginner stage. We mentally offer them respect from a distance. Madhyama, the progressive, responsible devotees, they're mature. We offer them visible obeisances. You become friends with them. And Uttama, these are inspirationally absorbed Krishna conscious devotees whose only meditation is to give Krishna to others. So to them, we inquire from them, we associate with them, and we serve them. So it's incumbent upon us to distinguish and relate with them accordingly, so we know what level to relate with them. And today's verse, verse number 6. Seeing beyond the external, honoring the pure devotees of the Lord. So this is a truly thought-provoking subject. How to honor all Vaishnavas and still learn to discern how close to get to whom. In the previous verse, we asked to inquire confidentially and open up our hearts to another devotee. And yet we know that we cannot just do that with every devotee we come across. So that was something that we learned in the previous verse. Now, today's verse is seeing beyond the external. See, in the previous verse, we were told to discern. In this verse, we will learn how to not be discriminating for the wrong reasons. Okay? Something to keep in mind. See beyond the external. So in verse 5, where Srila Rupa Goswami gave us the essential guidance of navigating relationships in bhakti, he taught us how to relate with devotees based on their spiritual maturity. To love the Uttamadhikari, make friends with the Madhyamadhikari, and offer respectful distance to the Kanishtadhikari, and avoid the envious non-devotees, the non-devotees. That was about discerning behavior, evaluating someone's attitude and practice in devotional service so we can associate wisely, so we can protect our own bhakti. That kind of discernment is healthy, scriptural, and necessary. But now in verse number 6, Rupa Goswami brings us to the other side of the coin, the crucial warning: don't discern on the wrong platform. Let's see what's going on in the invitation. Don't mistake a devotee's bodily limitations, external background, or apparent flaws as indicators of their spiritual standing. You have to discern, but not on this platform. In other words, discriminate spiritually, not materially. In verse 5, we are told to see the behavior and respond accordingly. Now in verse 6, we are told not to see with bodily vision and fall into the trap of judging a devotee's essence by superficial appearances. You see the contrast and how they're connected. They're close to each other, and yet they're like day and night. This verse is a heart-level correction for all of us who might catch ourselves thinking, oh, he's too new to be advanced. Or she doesn't dress like a devotee. Or how can he give a class with that kind of family background? Rupa Goswami gives us a powerful analogy. Just as the Ganges remains pure, the Ganga water, even when filled with foam, bubbles, or mud, a pure devotee remains transcendental despite external imperfections. So in this session, it's all about how to go beyond the surface vision to see with Shastra Chakshu, the eyes of scripture, and recognize the spiritual substance in others, even when it's veiled by material coverings. We're going to the verse now. Drishtay svabhava janitair vapushascha doshay na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashye Ganga basamna khalu buddha pena pankte Brahma dravat pamapagachati niradharmai. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee as having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. This verse has a beautiful word, Gangam Bhasam, the water of the Ganga. Let us pause to reflect on one of the most sacred, iconic, and spiritually potent images in all Vedic culture, this Mother Ganga, flowing from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, descending through the matted locks of Lord Shiva himself, and finally gracing this earth for the upliftment of humanity. The Ganga is no ordinary river. She is divine, she is liberating, and eternally pure. Padma Puran declares, one who even bathes once in the Ganga attains liberation. The Ganga destroys sins accumulated over millions of lifetimes. Thousands bathe in her water daily, saints and sinners and pilgrims and seekers. Yet her purity is never diminished. Even during the monsoon season, when foam and bubbles and mud cloud her waters, yet her purity is never diminished. Devotees don't hesitate to immerse themselves. Why? Because they know that these surface disturbances do not touch her essence. Her flowing current of spiritual potency remains untouched by the superficial impurities that gather around her. This here is a picture of the two rivers, Bhagirathi and Alaknanda, coming together at Devaprayag to form the combined river Ganga. Sometimes we see that there's a lot of mud in the water. Foam, bubbles, and mud appear during the rainy season, but nobody doubts the Ganga's holiness. Similarly, a pure devotee may seem to have certain defects, but these do not touch his spiritual purity. A muddy Ganges is still sacred. A seemingly flawed devotee is still transcendental. So the purity of the Ganga, a devotee may be born in a low caste. A devotee may have a disease or deformity. A devotee may have past karma manifest in body, in the mind. But their heart is pure and fully surrendered to Krishna. So we can't judge, oh, that devotee is so short, he's so skinny, he's so fat, he has mole, or his arm is crooked, or she's hunchbacked, or no. Or that devotee is born in a certain low caste family, how can they be a devotee? Her father was a street sweeper, My mother used to wash clothes for other people. No. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport makes an important point about not discriminating based on externals. He says, whether the devotees come from a family of previous acharyas or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, here is an American Goswami, and discriminate against him. You can see how liberal Prabhupada was. Many, even Gaudiya Vaishnavas at that time were criticizing. How can you give initiation to these people who are not even of Hindu background? And you're giving them sannyas. Here Srila Prabhupada is in this picture with His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. Gave him sannyas. Still going strong and preaching the pure message of Prabhupada. People criticize, oh, he's an American Goswami. That's a contradiction in terms. What Srila Prabhupada did in one sense was not new. He was doing what has always been happening all along, the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the footsteps of Srimad Bhagavatam. You can take some examples. We'll take some examples. An example of how devotees can come from surprisingly unexpected backgrounds. Outwardly, Vritrasura, this big demon, appeared to be this monster, fierce, gigantic, terrifying. Yet when he was confronted in battle by Indra, quite an astonishing truth was revealed. As they fought, Vritrasura, this demon, began to speak words of the highest transcendental realization. He declared his full surrender to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and he expressed the longing and intense desire to return to Godhead. He said didn't desire wealth or followers or some kind of impersonal liberation. He only wanted to serve the Lord, whether here or there, birth after birth. See, when a devotee says he wants to go back to Godhead, he means with the Lord, serve the Lord birth after birth. Bhakti platform. Just as a child longs for its mother, or a lover yearns for union. So later it is revealed that Vritrasura was actually a great devotee in the previous life named Chitraketu. And due to a minor offense, he was cursed to become a demon. Yet his consciousness remained fully fixed on the Lord. So Vritrasura's story powerfully breaks the external stereotype of a devotee. Don't judge a devotee by the cover. One might expect a pure devotee to wear saintly robes, have a gentle look, have a gentle demeanor, live in a holy place. But here is a fearsome demon engaged in violent warfare who internally possesses the heart of a surrendered devotee. So this illustrates that true devotion is not determined by externals, caste, appearance, social role, even species. In Ramayana, so many different species were serving the Lord wrong. Of course, Hanumanji come from the monkey species. Jatayu and Jambavan and little squirrel wanted to help build the bridge, and all the monkeys. It's one's surrender, the desire to serve the Lord, and heartfelt dependence on Him. That's what matters. Look at this beautiful prayer. This Vritrasura said in the Bhagavatam, "Oh my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet?" Just look at this prayer. "O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship." breaking stereotypes. Don't judge devotee by the cover. Another more famous example, Prahlad Maharaj, child born in demoniac family. Prahlad Maharaj says, although I was born in a demoniac family, I may without a doubt offer prayers to the Lord with full endeavor, as far as my intelligence allows. Anyone who has been forced by ignorance to enter the material world may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears the Lord's glories. Every word from Prahlad Maharaj is so pure and uplifting. This is called Mahajan, great soul, in whose footsteps we follow. And yet he's born in what family? A demon family. Same thing with Prahlad Maharaj's grandson, obviously also demon, but another Mahajan, another great Mahajan is Bali. So that's shattering stereotypes. In Chaitanya Leela, we hear of this great devotee Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Pundarik Vidyanidhi was sitting in his house, and Mukunda Dutt brought Gadadhar Pandit to meet him. Yeah. And they saw this man reclining on this luxurious furniture, nice silken bed. He's wearing really top-notch clothes, surrounded by scented oils and silk pillows and fine clothing, like the best luxuries that money could buy, because he had a lot of money. He was a very luxurious guy. And Gadadhar began doubting. Wait, Mukunda Dutt said, I'm going to be introduced to this incredibly deep Vaishnava. This is the great Vaishnava you spoke of? But as soon as Mukunda Dutt recited one verse from the Bhagavatam glorifying Bhakti, Pundarik Vidyanidhi exploded into ecstasy, rolling on the floor and weeping and calling out to Krishna so sincerely. This really shook Gadadhar Pandit, like, whoa. I didn't know someone who's living in so much apparent luxury can be so absorbed in Krishna. And that's the stereotype that Mukunda Dutt wanted to break. Of course, in Krishna Lila, it turns out that Pundarik Vidyanidhi was none other than Srimati Radharani's father, King Vrishabhanu. Mahaprabhu himself honored him as Prema Nidhi, reservoir of divine love. So the lesson is even outward luxury can veil the deepest ocean of bhakti. Never measure devotion by external renunciation or simplicity alone. Devotion can hide in plain sight and be found in the least expected places. Then after having this experience, Gadadhar Pandit himself said, today, because you, Mukunda Datta, are right next to me, I have been able to avoid a great catastrophe. When I saw the luxurious paraphernalia surrounding Pundarik Vidyanidhi, I was convinced that he was a materialistic Vaishnava, given to the pleasures of life. You could read my mind, and being a great magnanimous soul, you revealed to me the unlimited extent of Pundarik Vidyanidhi's love for God. Yet today I have been offensive, and the extent of my offense can only be mitigated by your mercy. You must be merciful to me and purify my heart. See, even though he just thought it, he took it that I've made such a big offense, that I thought I judged someone externally. Big lesson for all of us. Let us not judge any devotee externally. Judge by their behavior, yes. Judge by their love. Judge by how they treat other devotees. That was from last week's lesson, remember? We are meant to judge. We are meant to make a judgment call on how to relate to different devotees that we were taught before, but not this way, not externally, you see. That's another pitfall to avoid. That's why these verses are next to each other. It's very beautifully laid out, this whole nectar of instruction. Another very famous stereotype, Srila Haridas Thakur. He was born in a Muslim family, Khan. His last name was Khan. And yet he is a Namacharya. Namacharya Haridas Thakur. He was not accepted by the Orthodox caste Hindus as a Hindu. But he was personally chosen by Mahaprabhu as the Acharya of the holy name. He chanted 300,000 names of Krishna daily. Even though he was beaten publicly in 22 marketplaces, flogged, he never gave up his chanting. Mahaprabhu said, even if a person is born in a low family, anyone who chants the holy name purely is to be considered the topmost devotee. Caste and religion are not disqualifications for the path of bhakti. Haridas Thakur himself taught the chanting of the Lord's holy name to indicate something other than the Lord is an instance of namabhas. Means even if you chant without understanding properly while making some kind of misaligned thought, that is not pure chanting. And yet, even when the holy name is chanted in this way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. See, so these are the messages of the Namacharya that really inspire us to continue chanting and take up this chanting process very seriously. Another example, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. They were rejected by society and accepted by Mahaprabhu. Why were they rejected by society, by the Hindu society? Although they were born in nice Hindu families, Brahmin families, but because of their association of their work, really, of their careers, they were very highly placed officers in the Muslim government. And of course, they're super smart, so they knew exactly how to run the government. But because they were employed in that Muslim government, they were rejected by the Hindus and said, no, you have become Muslims now. They even took those kind of Muslim names, Kabir Khas, Sakar Malik. But internally, they were always devotees. And when Mahaprabhu came, then they completely gave up all this connection with their careers. They didn't get into any other thing, family life, or any of that. They dived straight into the service of the Lord. They were branded as Yavanas because they're ministers in the Muslim government. But in reality, they're Goswamis. And they became the founding acharyas of this Gaudiya Sampradaya, the direct disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are reading Rupa Goswami's book right now. Mahaprabhu personally embraced them, gave them the mission of writing Bhakti Shastra, reestablishing Vrindavan. And how did they live? They lived in rags, slept under trees, and wrote volumes and volumes of eternal wisdom, concentrated. Every word that they wrote is perfect. We're studying this little booklet. It's only 11 verses by Rupa Goswami. And there's so much in every word. So what is the lesson? That even fallen people, quote unquote fallen people, can become world transforming devotees through mercy and surrender. It's another stereotype that we have to shatter. Don't judge devotees by their cover, by their backgrounds, by their previous resumes, what they did before. None of that matters. It's actually offensive to ask someone who's given their life to Krishna, what were you before? How does that matter? What if I was a drug addict and a bum? What does it matter? It's not making offense. The best is to just appreciate who they are now and relate to them according to the previous verse. When you see them very advanced, their heart completely surrendered to Krishna, then we serve them. We try to absorb some of the current of that Ganga that's flowing, the Ganga of love that's flowing through their hearts. let us pray to them that we be touched by that flow in some way, we be inspired, and that if they are pleased upon us, these great devotees, then we can make progress. And if they are not pleased, then we cannot make progress. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya prasadan na gati kutopi. Na gati kutopi means we cannot make any progress, we cannot reach our goal if the pure devotees who are in our lives are not pleased, or we cannot receive their mercy. That's why it is incumbent upon us to not be judgmental to these great souls. Krishna does not see our skin color. Krishna does not see our clothes or our caste. He sees the heart. What does Krishna see? He sees our heart. He sees our gratitude. He sees our attitude. He sees our motivation. And he sees our devotion. He sees all aspects of our sincerity and all aspects of our insincerity and our little rascaldom that we may have. He sees it all. And he asks us to look at it also and do something about it. So let us learn to see as he sees, or we will miss the real jewels hidden in plain sight. What is that? He sees our heart, our gratitude, our motivation, our devotion. Now, these aspects of our heart cannot be separated from our outlook and behavior toward others. All souls are dear to the Lord. All souls. Everyone is child of God. So we should not make external judgments and end up making offense. So verse number 5 was about how to relate to devotees based on their spiritual maturity and behavior, not their caste, dress, ethnicity, or occupation. Uttam adhikaris are full-hearted bhaktas, so we associate deeply with them. Madhyam adhikaris, they're sincere practitioners. We form meaningful relationships with them. Kanishta adhikaris, the beginners with weak faith and poor behavior. So we keep some respect because they're devotees, but keep some distance. And non-devotees who are sinful and offensive, we avoid entangling association with them. So in verse number 5, the focus is on their spiritual behavior, not on material appearance, right? Verse number 6 is about not judging devotees by the external material bodily imperfections. Even if a devotee has apparent defects from birth or health or background, we do not consider them material or important. So the Ganges remains pure even when muddy. The key point is this. It's about purifying our vision, not evaluating behavior, but correcting the tendency to judge by external bodily attributes. So text 5 is discernment. Encourage discerning association based on devotee's behavior and spiritual maturity. But text 6 warns us against judging a devotee based on external appearance, right? That's very clear. We said it repeatedly. Text 5 is about their consciousness. What is their conscious about? Text 6 is about your vision. What is your vision? It's different. Text 5 helps protect your bhakti from spiritual contamination. But text 6 helps purify your heart from envy, from pride, and from this external judgmentalism. Okay? Now coming to practical applications. For ourselves, don't overvalue external image or titles. Don't put too much weight on that. Oh, he comes from a great family, Brahmin family. Oh, that guy, he comes from like a, low caste. No. Focus on cultivating humility and bhakti. That's a message for us. And also never allow jealousy of another devotee's service or recognition to grow in the heart. Because when we're constantly judging by externals, then we get jealous of externals too. That's important. And jealousy can creep into other parts. If the devotee is doing well in their service, we might feel jealous, especially if that service is in the same area of my service. Like suppose I'm a great cook and another devotee is recognized for their great cooking, I might feel jealous. Now, if another devotee is recognized for the good singing, I won't feel anything. That's not my area. See, so it's important for us to just guard against this sort of envy and appreciate the good qualities in others. That's for ourselves. Now, toward others. For others, don't criticize devotees for their past or their nationality or their appearance or background. Like if a devotee, you just want to say something hurtful to them. Oh yeah, he's from such and such country. Everybody from that country, they're just like that. You know, they're lazy, or you know, they'll be hypocritical. No, that's so bogus. And yet we hear these kind of things. If they're sincerely serving, we honor them. That's how we approach others. Okay, now let's see, we already covered this. Couple of warnings. Two extremes to avoid. Fault finding under the guise of discernment. Thinking you're protecting Sampradaya. Avoid that extreme. And blind sentimentalism. Those are two extremes. You fault finding or you're blindly sentimental. You're justifying someone's misbehavior. Oh yeah, he's a perfect devotee, but you can see that the behavior is really bad. So what are we supposed to develop? We're supposed to develop Madhyama vision. See devotees as servant of Krishna. Correct, if you have to do correct, if you correct someone, and if that's your place, you correct with love and praise with sincerity. And of course, the great empowered Vaishnavas must not be disciplined like neophytes. Oh yeah, you know, I'll make sure he doesn't get too puffed up. I'll do something. You know, he's puffed up, getting out of hand. But great devotees, we can't do that. So we must have the maturity to see Krishna's hand, the maturity to see Krishna's hand behind sincere devotees. The takeaway point to remember, Bhakti makes a person beautiful, even if the world sees only blemishes. This is very important. Learn to see the purity of the Ganga. Don't get distracted by the mud. When someone is sincerely turning to the Lord, don't judge them because, oh, he didn't finish high school. How much will he understand? We're always glorifying that illiterate devotee who's reading the Bhagavad Gita, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw him and says, you're the greatest scholar of Bhagavad Gita, even though he was illiterate, because his heart was flowing with love for Krishna and he's appreciating Krishna's Bhakta Vatsalata, Krishna's tendency to serve his own devotees as he was serving Arjuna. See? So there's so much to learn from many of these examples. Constantly the Bhagavatam is shattering stereotypes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada himself. And now Rupa Goswami is putting it in terms of actual well-structured policy. The internal policy of the heart of a devotee is the nectar of instruction. It's a bhakti that makes a person beautiful. So for closing meditation, okay, how to integrate both verses. Let me protect my bhakti by associating wisely. But let me also protect my humility by honoring those whom Krishna has empowered, regardless of how they look to me. So a mature devotee discriminates in behavior, never devalues someone's devotion. This is the closing reflection. He judged behavior for association. He never judged hearts based on externals. So we have to end the class a little early today. Thank you very much for your time. We would like to request all of you to say a quick prayer. We have our very senior devotee, His Grace Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, who is in the last moments. A very unfortunate situation. So please, if you can say a prayer, we'll say one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra together. Please offer him the prayers. Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, who met Srila Prabhupada himself, a wonderful devotee. Please pray for him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare.
So thank you all very much. We won't have time for classes, for questions. Unfortunately, we'll pick them up on the next session. Thank you again for your time and for your association. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you so much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.